Hello and welcome to a lore full of Destiny, a video lorecast about Destiny lore. I'm Alan.
Hi, Mark.
I have played a lot of Destiny.
And I just know a little of the lore. I've not played it.
Okay, you're a lore hound, though, in general.
I mean, I come in with fresh eyes, but with a heavy appetite to learn about this wonderful story.
Okay, and of this wonderful story, today we have the most exciting part of the entire Destiny story, in my mind, and that is Rasputin, a.k.a. the one person, or thing, or whatever you want to call him, that actually knows what's up, and actually acts rationally, and actually does cool things. Rasputin is like the one actor in Destiny that knows what's up. So, this is very exciting. We're
Sounds
gonna dig
exciting.
into it.
I want to learn more about this Rasputin person.
Okay.
Or thing. This
is Rasputin.
There's a lot of things on screen. Are you referring to the big robot?
This is Rasputin.
Is it a machine?
Rasputin is a war mind.
Is that lifted from Superman 3?
Was a war mind a thing in Superman 3?
No, there's like a big supercomputer in the movie that looked like that, I think.
Oh, well, maybe.
Well, you should look that up.
Look up Superman 3 supercomputer?
Yeah, sure. It's just reminding me of the supercomputer.
Are all computers in Superman movies by definition supercomputers?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think that when you have a superhero open up a laptop, it becomes a supercomputer.
Okay, here's what that thing looked like.
Pretty close. Basically the same.
Basically the same thing. Okay.
I think I would say I would legitimately think it could be an inspiration.
Yeah. So this is Rasputin. So Rasputin is a war mind.
What was going on in the floor in the last picture? Seems like a bunch of dudes.
Well, these are Hive. And this is the Guardian here. So the Guardian is fighting some Hive that have infiltrated Rasputin's mainframe here.
Seems there's poor security.
Well, Rasputin has generally good security, but at the end of the day, any physical, facility can definitely be broken into.
Yeah.
So
okay, I need more background on what Rasputin is capable of.
So Rasputin is a war mind, and so what war minds are is back in the Golden Age.
Sure.
Bunch of people in the Golden Age made these war minds, which were basically these incredibly powerful computers that would run simulations on warfare and would do what they could to defend Earth and defend humanity.
So This is lifted from war games.
It's a war games like thing. Yes.
Okay.
It's Whopper.
Whopper.
And so these war minds, like Rasputin, would basically try and run all these calculations, given all the input they had, and do what they could to defend humanity. And so these war minds on the ground. There's also war sats that are satellites that circle, are in orbit around all the planets.
Okay.
And so the combination of these war minds on the ground and these war sats in orbit basically provide this planetary defense system for the solar system.
I mean, I would say that defense isn't just thinking, but also doing stuff.
Sure.
Is the war mind and war sats capable of action?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the war sats can launch missiles at things. So.
And what can the war mind do?
The war mind has access to all the systems throughout all the ground-based artillery, all the satellites, all the everything, right?
Automatic opening doors and shutting doors.
Automatically opening and shutting any door you want. Yeah. And so they built all these war minds. And of them, Rasputin was kind of unique and interesting. I don't know exactly why, but Rasputin's definitely the most badass of the war minds. Because as the darkness, incursion happened and the collapse happened.
So this is outside of the safe zone.
He's in old Russia.
Okay.
That's where Rasputin's located, yeah.
Sure.
And so as the collapse had happened...
So all the world was getting along.
The war minds were built at a time when humanity was getting along with itself,
sure,
but wanted to defend itself against external threats. Which
I still don't really follow that too hot, but okay.
What do you mean?
We were on an equal footing with people just attacking us afterwards. There's a 700 year...
Well, for example, the Fallen, right?
Yeah, but at the point, wasn't the Traveler really active and able to do stuff? And two, weren't we just getting better at things in the meantime? I just don't really understand.
What do you mean? I mean, we built. This was a preparation for potential. We had this great society that was flourishing, and it was like, oh well, we need to defend this society, and so we built all this war capabilities, including war mines, in order to help defend it.
But I guess it seems like it's still kind of old technology, right? It isn't like stuff like force fields. Or
No, it's practical human technology. Yeah,
which seems like we should have moved beyond that. Is what I'm saying.
Well.
If it was really a step forward, it would have been like, oh, we're protecting ourselves with bows and arrows.
Well, I mean, this was years ago. I mean, this was, back, this was in the Golden Age, but not the, I think maybe...
Not the late Golden Age.
Maybe not the late Golden Age. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, so Rasputin, though, of all the war mines, Rasputin's the only one... Actually, there might have been one other, but Rasputin's definitely the only one that survived and actually was able to sort of continue operating. And so what Rasputin did is Rasputin was trying to fight the darkness, right? So the darkness incurs. Rasputin was trying to fight it.
Is this when you try to shoot it?
This is us aiming a gun at Rasputin.
Good.
And these are Rasputin's control panels here. So he's got a little control
low-res screens.
Surface here. Yeah, you don't need much resolution. This is Rasputin's monitors for all the different planets. So he's got like Mars and the Moon and Venus all,
Should we try to piece
there.
together what's
Here's a dude that I guess used to operate Rasputin.
Yeah.
Yeah, another dude.
Should we assume there's like a nuclear fallout here?
Might have been, yeah. Or some sort of
How much is nuclear warheads playing to the game? Like how often do they say, hey, why don't we nuke Venus?
Not a lot. There's not really nuclear stuff.
It seems like a lot more sense than just hand-to-hand combat, right?
I mean, hand-to-hand combat's more accurate.
Is more accurate?
I don't know. It was more, more granular.
I mean, when you go to places like the Moon and fight the Hive, how often would it be better solved
to just nuke the Moon?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we have nukes anymore.
Why not? Like, we lost nuclear technology?
I get maybe.
I mean, a bunch of dudes in New Mexico in the mountains were able to pull it together. I think that we can reclaim it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
anyway.
So at some point, Rasputin went down suddenly, but it had a very good power source.
No. Rasputin never went down. This is just some,
the
control panel
support
area.
Staff went down.
Yeah, but the support staff were useless. These guys didn't do anything.
I mean, I will say it's fairly robust with very little tech support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about Rasputin is that so he's monitoring, and he's fighting the darkness. Starts to fight the darkness.
I mean, so far, I'm not really impressed with Rasputin.
Well, it gets cool.
Okay.
He's starting to fight the darkness, and then what he realizes is that the darkness is actually it's basically he runs all these simulations, and of all the simulations, all the possible courses of actions he could take. He realizes that pretty much for every single one of them, the probability of actually defeating the darkness, given all the inputs he had at the time, is 0% in all those possibilities, right? Anything he could possibly do, any combination of actions he could do, had no reasonable chance at all of defeating the darkness.
Well, there's a big difference in 0 chance and 0 reasonable chance.
Okay, well, 0%. I mean 0%. 0%.
Okay, sure.
Or 0.000001. Who knows?
Depending on what float resolution they
Yes,
use.
exactly. Whatever whatever precision of floating point numbers yeah. So anyway, so he calculates all that, and then
if I was doing that, I would reserve at least 32 bits.
Yeah. And so then what he does is so these are all his protocols. So we're going to go through these, but I want to point out one in particular. Midnight Exigent. Okay? And so what he does with Midnight Exigent is he goes, okay, can't defeat the darkness right now.
Yeah.
But given time, possibly some of the inputs will change, right? Like he's only making these calculations based on all the inputs he has right now. And so the theory behind Midnight Exigent is if I go to sleep for a while, essentially, stop counterattacking, instead do as much as I can to survive, right? So all war mines enter a period of extended deactivation in an effort to survive, and later devise a countermeasure for an overwhelming threat, right? And so what he says is, can't defeat him now, there's no way. I'm going to focus on long-term survival, and then wait until I have new inputs that potentially change the probability for some of the actions I could take.
I mean, that seems like a reasonable standby state.
Yeah.
Okay, so question for you is, you
Yes.
continually refer to Rasputin as a person.
Well,
whereas Rasputin, for all I see so far, appears to be simply software.
So actually, yeah, let me find Rasputin. So Rasputin is software, but and this is actually, so in the original script for Destiny, before they made a bunch of changes pre-release, you actually interacted with Rasputin directly as an exo, and this is what he was supposed to look like. And you actually would have interacted with him as like, this was an exo that you thought was him, and then actually in some DLC, it basically, they revealed this was actually just an incarnation of him that was acting on his behalf and whatever. Kind of like what the ghosts are to the Traveler.
Kind of what the speaker is to the Traveler.
Sure, yeah.
Which, I'll say this, I have repeatedly said that's pretty dumb, so I think that was a good thing to remove.
Okay.
Do you think it was a good thing? You
well, it would have been cool to hang out with Rasputin like this, because he's a cool guy.
Dude.
He's a cool guy. Okay, so he activates this midnight exogen thing, goes into this long-term counterattack, hibernation state, right? And so he's kind of sleeping for a while, right?
Yeah, he activates sleep.
And then what happens is, what he realizes is that the Traveler so Traveler's hovering around Earth, whatever, and the Traveler is about to lose this. I mean, not the Traveler, but all of humanity, solar system, whatever, is about to lose this battle with the darkness, right? And Rasputin calculates there's a high probability that the Traveler is going to peace out and is going to try and run away, right?
Well, what is there any good info that leads him to conclude that?
That's what the Traveler has done with all prior civilizations that he's that he has helped.
Where do we get the history of this?
I don't know where that history came from.
I mean, we didn't know what he was doing until he was chilling there on Mars. It seems like we really don't really know the entire history of this guy.
Well, there's other races that have, like the Fallen have been following the darkness around, so they probably have prior interaction. I mean, there's ways they could have gotten that information, right? Yeah. Especially Rasputin, who's got all sorts. I mean, he's got ears everywhere. Anyway, so what Rasputin does, and this is really cool, is he says this Traveler man, he's about to abandon us, and so he turns not all of it, he turns a bunch of Earth's and the solar system's defense stuff on the Traveler and fires at the Traveler. And so when you see the Traveler, let me go back to the Traveler. When you see the Traveler being all wounded here, right? Having all these gashes in him.
Yeah.
That is, and this is somewhat speculation, but it's a leading theory. These are actually wounds created from Rasputin's weapons.
Okay.
So Rasputin crippled the Traveler to the point where the Traveler could not escape on its own.
Okay.
But was still, basically alive enough to continue providing assistance and support for the remainder of humanity.
I mean, I will say it does not seem like the Traveler has a sense of morality that is understandable.
No.
Much less defensible. So, yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. So basically, Rasputin makes it such that, it's now, he flips it such that it is now to the Traveler's advantage, and in fact, the Traveler really has no other options than to stay with humanity in the remainders of society, right?
I mean, serves right, sure.
Yeah, and so that's, I think that's kind of cool, that that Rasputin...
I mean, I will say this is based upon information which, to me, seems very hard to really corroborate.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think also part of it is like the Traveler was looking at the situation and saying, well, we're going to lose to the darkness for sure. So calculating the, from the Traveler's point of view, like what is most advantageous, stay with this dying civilization that's going to lose to the darkness, or run away. And run away is the clear option there.
But what's better for the universe? Because is it possible that us dying and the Traveler moving on is better for the universe?
No, because the Traveler's just going to go find another...
Has the Traveler done a single good thing in its life?
No, the Traveler is terrible.
It seems that way.
So, okay, so that's what I just described as abhorrent imperative. A port imperative, which is a Rasputin protocol, a last resort measure aimed at preventing the traveler from leaving Earth during a major calamity by crippling it. Rasputin devised this protocol in secret from both his human overseers and fellow war minds. So he just did this on his own.
So we allowed software that could write new, decisions for itself.
Yeah. And that software has access to all of the weaponry of Earth and the solar system.
Which I'd say, in general, it seemed like it worked out well. I do not recommend that in general. I think the chance of that going bad are far greater than the chance of that working out.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, so part of this was Loki Crown, fire all available katometric weaponry at the traveler. I don't know what katometric means, but...
you don't know what katometric? Oh,
let me look up katometric. Is this also going to be a search where I just get Destiny stuff? Yes, it is. Anyone else see similarities here? If so, conclude. This format of thread will look very similar to anyone who's watched a previous episode.
Good. Let's not spend time.
You don't want to delve into this?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think people know what to look at now.
Okay, good. Yep. Just see this for additional information there. Okay, so let's walk through Rasputin's protocols, because he's got a bunch of them. Karhe, an emergency condition under which Rasputin may declare to assume command of all solar system defenses.
So the rest of the solar system may not like that.
Mm-hmm. Karhe Black, an unspecified emergency condition. Karhe White, an emergency condition in which the solar system faces an external threat. So this Karhe White is what happens when the darkness comes in.
Okay.
Who knows what Karhe Black is? Don't know.
Unspecified. I mean, yeah, I feel unspecified usually means unspecified behavior as opposed to unspecified input condition. But
I think that's what it means, though. Unspecified input condition.
And is there a specified output condition? It just means we take over.
Both of these are, conditions for invoking Karhe.
I feel, again, this is a very low threshold for proving it's a good situation to go into it.
Well.
Anytime it's unspecified,
at the end of the day,
take over all of the arms in the universe.
At the end of the day, he has the capability to evolve his own software and develop new protocols, so none of this really matters.
There's no real rules for this guy.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, Ikalos, a new subroutine created by Rasputin to leverage Guardians to aid in his defense while Midnight Exigent proceeds. Utilizing the Dvalin Forge 2 subroutine, Ikalos is designated to arm Guardians with upscaled fusion rifles.
That's just
like
nonsense.
These.
That's nonsense.
Subroutine Ikalos status complete. Midnight Exigent status still in progress. Good info here, see?
So it gives you a weapon upgrade.
Gives you a weapon upgrade.
That's just stupid.
Although this is actually from, I believe there's a future one here that is... more effective weapons. Yeah, here we go. Voluspa. There's more effective weapons down here. We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's look at all the nuclear weapons, but we also want to make sure
the people have guns.
The people have better guns.
They're very powerful guns, though.
Great.
Okay.
We talked about this.
We talked about Midnight Exigent and all the stuff there. Secure ISIS.
So ISIS is behind this.
Yeah. Unknown, possibly intended to secure a vital asset.
Did they write this before ISIS became a real thing in the global?
Yes.
That's funny.
It's quite funny.
Do you think they're going to retcon that and make the real ISIS part of the game?
Yeah, that will definitely be the way to retcon it. It won't be removing it. It'll be now owning it fully and integrating ISIS completely.
I mean, I think that would imagine if they took a game that, people were talking about this more a couple years ago, but if people start saying ISIS, Aleppo, and all this buzzwords people love, people are going to be buying this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Destiny 5, 6, 7, ISIS Showdown.
Destiny 5, 6, 7, ISIS Showdown.
Yeah, 3 games for the price of 1. It's a great idea.
Okay, so that's Secure ISIS. Voluspa, a counterattack protocol. It was activated concurrently with Yuga, so we'll get to Yuga. Fenrir Heart, unknown, possibly a specific strategy or type of weapon. It was ineffective against the darkness. These were all things he tried initially that then led to Midnight Exigent when he realized these weren't successful.
Well, one thing I wonder, why does no one ever try sneak attacks anymore?
That's true, yeah. I mean, we just tell everyone what we're going to attack.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. Surtur Drown, unknown, possibly a specific strategy or type of weapon. It was ineffective against the darkness. Both of these, ineffective. Dvalin Forge, a plan to produce weapons to arm human forces in the event of a Karhe emergency. Dvalin Forge weaponry proved ineffective against the darkness. That was the first iteration that eventually would become the Dvalin Forge 2.
So
Dvalin Forge 2, a modification to Dvalin Forge, designed to be compatible with Midnight Exigent. So that's now we're getting into Dvalin Forge 2.
So not to get too off topic.
Yeah.
Ineffective against the darkness means ineffective against the forces of darkness.
Yes. Primarily the Hive, it seems like.
Yes, okay. That's what we were talking about last episode.
Yeah.
Although it seems like the only real existence of the darkness seems to be the fact that they can make the
Hive.
Taken.
Oh, and the Taken are a special type of Oryx, who created the Taken, is a Hive. Person.
So they say they were taken, like they were consumed by the darkness.
It's channeling the darkness's power to consume these individuals and turn them into Taken.
Well, let's chew this later.
Okay. Yuga, a counterattack protocol. It was activated concurrently with Veluspa, so it was Veluspa and Yuga together.
Yeah.
Yuga Sundown cancels all protocols for protecting humanity and activates Midnight Exigent. So this was like, hey, try this Veluspa and Yuga. Oh, it didn't work. Nothing's going to work. Yuga Sundown, Midnight Exigent. Bam.
So this is basically Pokemon.
Yes, this is Pokemon.
Okay.
And Midnight Exigent is the equivalent of like
running away.
Of like Bide. Maybe.
Oh, is Bide a thing?
Bide, you stay there. Maybe it's something like Dig, where you kind of dig underground for a turn and then come back up and attack.
Great.
Yeah.
So nothing is super effective here.
Well, but who knows? The result of Midnight Exigent post Dig or post coming back up out of the ground might be super effective.
Maybe Secure Isis.
So Abhorrent Imperative was certainly effective at getting the Traveler to stay.
So the Traveler's actually making a big difference in this big universe out there.
It's certainly making a difference in defending the last city, right? I mean, the city is still exists because of the Traveler hovering there. So, yeah. So then, we got Sleeper Simulant. There's a weapon created by Rasputin that you can use in the games. That's kind of cool. What I like about this is notice the design of the segments of this weapon. It actually is cool how it kind of mirrors the design of some of Rasputin's, pieces.
That's also the kind of things we saw on the menu screens earlier, those diamonds.
Yeah, the diamonds are, diamonds are forever,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Rasputin, multiple times throughout the story, Rasputin gets attacked and invaded, and people try and sort of like, so actually when the story starts, Rasputin is completely disconnected from all of his, satellites, weaponry batteries, all that sort of stuff. He's just in hibernation, isolated.
Yeah.
You discover him, and you actually go and reconnect what's called the last array, and that array is his way now to communicate with all of his pieces, or all his weaponry throughout this solar system. So you actually go and help reconnect him to all his weaponry.
Is there much external in-out other than weapons?
I'm sure there's sensors and other stuff like that, but mainly it's the warsats that are in orbit and and arrays and
is there a shell?
A shell
that you can talk to and check status on?
No, you can't SSH into Rasputin, unfortunately.
Okay, I mean, it seems like you should at least say, "Hey, thanks for waking me up."
Well, he talks to you.
Oh,
well,
he does.
Sort of. He plays music when he's in trouble.
Just explain all the music in the game. It's all diegetic.
Yeah,
great.
No, you can hear classical music coming from the air ducts in old Russia when Rasputin is in trouble.
Huh.
Yeah. So. I think there's that. Let's see. Is there anything else here? No. That's Rasputin. Any questions?
Does this make a? Okay. So the crippling the Traveler happened in the past. That's in the past now.
Yep, that was an important imperative. That happened toward the end of the collapse.
Sure. Okay.
And basically saved humanity.
Sounds that way.
Yeah.
So in general, is it really too relevant now?
What do you mean?
It's just waiting for the right moment to use its weapons.
Rasputin?
Yeah.
I mean, Rasputin definitely helps you out quite a bit. Throughout in terms of
upgrading your weapons.
Yeah, giving you weapons, launching orbital attacks.
I still
stuff like
tend
that.
to say hand-to-hand combat seems like a complete red herring. I don't see any of this as possibly mattering in the big tournament.
Well, you sometimes need to use hand-to-hand combat to get into those hard-to-reach places.
That's how wars are.
Well, like the Black Garden, where you fight the final boss. That's a place you probably couldn't get into otherwise because it's in a different dimension.
We're talking about what that's going to mean in a later episode?
We might tackle the Black Garden in a future episode, yeah.
Okay. Rasputin seems great, but it seems a bit irrelevant after it did its great service.
Yeah, but I think that
I will say this.
Yeah.
It seems surprising that the Traveler was able to be crippled by this thing.
Well, the Rasputin directed all human weaponry at the Traveler. I'd say that's pretty significant. Also, the Traveler seems, pretty incapable in general.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like it is kind of godlike.
Yeah, but it also seems very vulnerable.
I mean, I would say that I would not have been surprised. I would expect that if you shoot all the nuclear defenses against it, it would have just laughed at you and said, "Hey, okay, I'm out."
Well, its power was already waning as a result of the Darkness incursion, so there was that. But
sure, what's the Hive should just be like attacking the Traveler?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Why don't they just just land on top of the Traveler?
Do the same thing humans did, and
just drop a bunch of nuclear weapons on it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You got humanity fighting back, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if anything, this would indicate that I don't think it's just nuclear weapons that have crippled the Traveler.
So you think Rasputin has access to some more advanced stuff?
I don't know. Maybe the decay is more.
Getting into fan theories here.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan theorist. I think maybe it's just an internal decay, and we see it symbolically through its decay on its skin. That's my theory. So please go ahead and write it and start writing that up.
Okay, very good.
Okay, great.
All right, so that has been Rasputin. I think he's super cool. I've always enjoyed the chance to interact with Rasputin and hang out in Rasputin's,
it's okay,
computer room,
all
that sort of stuff. So that's Rasputin.
Is there any part of the game where you are able to change its code?
No, he writes his own protocols.
Yeah, but you probably still go in and change that subroutine.
If only.
Do you think the game would be better if there was more active
more hacking?
Code? Yeah, more hacking, or actually, I'd say responsible, code,
code modification.
Yeah, pull requests.
Yeah. If the Rasputin had a GitHub repo you could contribute
absolutely.
to.
Yeah. I think that'd be a much better use of time than having this gun out shooting things. Sure.
Okay, well that's Rasputin. Next time on A Lore Full of Destiny, we have the 3 Tower factions. So that'll be a fun discussion about the Tower factions. And that has been Rasputin and A Lore Full of Destiny.
Wonderful.
Thank you for tuning in. Loreful, in fact. Wonderful and loreful.
Very loreful.
Thank you for tuning in.